Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Greener Skies Ahead conference. As I cannot be present personally today, I would like to share some thoughts on aviation and climate change with you in this way. The date of the conference could not have been chosen better in the run-up to COP23, taking place in Bonn from 6 to 17 November, where more than 20,000 delegates from around the world are expected to further work on the implementation of the Paris Agreement. It is only 2 years ago when the world united to fight climate change. With the Paris Agreement, 195 countries adopted the first ever universal legally binding global climate deal and have set the path for greenhouse gas neutrality for the second half of the century. This created the precondition to guarantee that the consequences of climate change can remain manageable. The goal set in Paris to limit global warming on less than 2 degrees and aiming for 1.5 degrees requires immediate and far-reaching actions by all actors and all sectors, including aviation. In the light of the Paris Agreement, Germany drafted the Climate Action Plan 2050. This plan provides guidance to all areas of action in the process to achieve our domestic climate targets. Among others, areas of actions are energy, buildings and transport, having the German government's goal in mind to reach greenhouse gas neutrality by the end of the century. This implies a paradigm shift. In future, renewable energies and energy efficiency will be the standard for investments. The Climate Action Plan 2050 creates the necessary conditions to keep Germany's economy competitive in a decarbonizing world. Focusing on transport, Germany has set the target to reduce CO2 emissions by 40 to 42% in 2030. Emissions from cars, light and heavy commercial vehicles and issues related to sustainable alternative fuels and greenhouse gas-free energy supply are addressed, as well as the requisite infrastructure and the interlinking of sectors, for example through electric mobility. We are committed to accept the challenge, having in mind that this will also include, and in particular depend on, a switch of the energy supply in transport. As aviation is currently supposed to have only limited alternatives to fossil-based liquid fuels as a source of energy in the medium and long term, this will require special attention and action. In particular, as aviation and its environmental impact do not stop at borders and need to be considered not only on a national level but also globally. ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, expects global aviation to grow by 4.5% annually in the long-term traffic forecast. Efficiency measures in the air transport sector are therefore essential and must be significantly strengthened. Ladies and gentlemen, improving efficiency will not be enough. We need ambitious emission reductions to achieve our climate goals. This requires sustainable aviation fuels as power-to-liquid, which allow to minimize greenhouse gas emissions and are based on renewable energies while avoiding depletion of natural resources. Compared to biofuels, which cause extra CO2 emissions from land use change and which are only limited available if produced in a sustainable way, PTL can be produced almost CO2 neutral by using renewable electricity and is therefore, from our perspective, a more than promising path to go. As ICAO's so-called basket of measures highlights the importance of greenhouse gas emission reductions through the use of sustainable aviation fuels as an important pillar, we are happy to see the request for the development of innovative technological pathways as power-to-liquid, also laid down in the ICAO vision on alternative aviation fuels, having been discussed only 2 weeks ago in Mexico City. Germany has already started to step into this pathway. Through the International Climate Initiative of our Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety, a pilot project in Brazil has been set up to prove the feasibility of production and application of PTL fuels for the aviation sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a fruitful outcome of today's conference, and I would like to invite you to continue the discussions during COP23 in Bonn. Germany is proud to support the presidency of Fiji as technical host of COP23. We are therefore looking forward to make progress on the Paris rulebook as well as to strengthen our cooperation in all sectors during several meetings and events, including sustainable transport and mobility, including aviation. please have a close look into the site events program. Thank you.